Welcome to this overview of question 2 from the September-December 2021 Advanced Financial Management exam. This question has been amended to introduce professional skills that will be examinable from September 2022 onwards, but the broad thrust of the question is the same. It will quickly become apparent that this is an interest rate hedging question, a commonly examined area. We're not going to do a technical debrief of this question, but we are going to look at the main challenges and give some general advice about how to handle a question of this type. So we're told a little bit about the company and a bit about the transaction that needs to be hedged. Before we get into either, let's have a quick look at the requirements. And we can see 6 marks for explaining what a Treasury Department does and how it could add value in each of those areas for this company, and in that context, would there be advantages to the Treasury Department being centralised? So the idea here is that you've got a basic understanding that the Treasury Department is about managing liquidity, currency, funding, and giving corporate finance advice, and that you could explain how that would matter to this company. And then when you're talking about centralisation, you're talking about how that would matter in this context. Now, I don't want to overcomplicate that. All I'm saying is don't just list everything you know about a Treasury Department and a centralised Treasury Department. Any effort to relate that knowledge to this situation will be generously rewarded, and a well-made point could easily pick up 2 marks, so we don't need to make too many points. But generally, when people are doing the AFM exam, there's a tendency in the exam to try and show the marker that you've got lots of technical knowledge and to list it, and that's not the test. This is meant to be a master's level exam. You are meant to apply your knowledge. You are not meant to simply recite it. So bear that in mind. The second part of the question is to come up with a recommendation on how to hedge a loan, with marks available for discussion and professional marks as well for analysing your numbers and thinking about practical considerations, commercial acumen. So it's not just about the numbers, it's more than calculations. So when you're looking at your calculations, you've got to try and get the basics right. But you can't afford to spend a huge amount of time trying to make sure you've got every number correct, because it means you won't get on to the discussion, the professional marks. These aren't easy marks, but they're certainly achievable marks. So we're not going to be too worried about every number, and obviously we're not doing a numerical debrief here anyway, but we do have to get the basics right. So whenever you're doing an interest rate hedge, you've got to know 2 key points. One is, what's today's date? Where are we now? So today is the 1st of November. And the second thing that we need to know is, when is the loan going to be required? 31st of January. Okay, so really it's just final basic, 36 million is needed. You need to know the right type of hedge to take out. So for example, if you're looking at an FRA, the loan starts in 3 months' time, and we're told it's repaid 4 months later. So that's in 7 months' time. So it will be a 3 to 7 FRA. If the loan's required on the 31st of January, then we're going to care about interest rates on the 31st of January, and therefore the type of future that we're going to require is going to be beyond December. It's got to be a March future would be the easiest one to go for, because that gives me cover on the 31st of January. So these are going to be contracts to sell if we're looking at futures, and if we're looking at options, then they're going to be put options to March. So you've got to get the basics right. You've got to have a clear strategy saying we're going to need, for example, March put options. How many are we going to need? And you can assume that the option is exercised unless the question tells you specifically what's happening to interest rates, which it does here, and actually interest rates have gone up. The option will be exercised. Once you've got the basics right, the key is to come up with a broadly competent answer. It does not have to be perfect. To get a pass mark, you've got to make sure that you answer part A and that you've got a competent setup in part B, which you can then discuss to pick up the discussion marks. And the professional marks in a hedging question are likely to be picked up by your understanding of the data, your use of the data to support discussion, and your appraisal of the techniques that you've used as well, and any practical considerations.